Everyone, it's Chris and welcome back to The Ridge. Well, this is the most comprehensive guide to growing tobacco on YouTube, period. Whether you've got a big backyard or just a few pots on your porch, we're showing you everything you need to know from seed to harvest. We've been growing tobacco for years now, right here in Zone 5B, and we learned exactly what works and what doesn't. And the best part, it's way easier than you think. Stick around to find out how easy it is. Join us!
Come on down, everybody. Go!
All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. We really appreciate you all watching and liking and subscribing and all that stuff. So, growing tobacco is really easy, and we're in the Appalachian Mountains, and we had no problem growing it. The first thing you need to do is get yourself some tobacco seeds. Now, I got mine online from leafonly.com, but you can get them anywhere you want. Getting the seeds to germinate is by far the hardest part of growing tobacco. We are going to get our tobacco planted and germinating. This is by far the hardest part of planting tobacco. The rest of it is an absolute breeze. Tobacco grows like a weed once you get it to germinate, but germinating is the hardest part. If you do exactly what we say and do exactly the way that we do it, I don't see how you'd have any problems. Now, we have our tobacco seeds here. We get them from Leaf Only. You can get them from wherever you want. We have Canadian Virginia Flu Cured Bold, and we grew that last year. Next, we have Virginia Gold. We also grew that last year. By the way, this Canadian Bold gets to be like 8 feet tall. It's pretty wild. Then we have Virginia Gold. We grew that last year. It gets to be about 6 feet tall. Huge leaves. Just requires sunlight, full sunlight. We are in zone 5B. So we have cold winters. We're at about 2,200 feet. We're here in the mountains, in the Allegheny Plateau. So Google that, and you'll see sort of where we're at. And we had really good success with these two varieties last year. So a new variety that we're adding this year is the Sweet Air Cured XL. It's called Sweet Air. It apparently has a sweet taste. We don't advocate using tobacco. You shouldn't use tobacco. There are many uses of tobacco that are not for consumption. So don't use tobacco. But it's fun to plant, and has all kinds of uses. So we're going to plant this one. We're really excited about this one because of the sweetness. So follow along. We're going to get these things planted. You want to get these things germinating like 4 to 6 weeks before the last frost. 4 to 6 weeks. So we are good to go to plant here in the last week of May. Today is March 28th. So we need to get these things going. So watch how we do it. Okay, so the very first thing you want to do is get yourself a really good seed starting mix. Not potting soil, not raised bed soil, but seed starting mix. It has to be seed starting mix because it needs to be fine. The tobacco seeds are so small, all right, that if you were to plant them in like potting soil or something like that, they're just going to get covered up and they're not going to germinate. These can't be covered up. They have to be exposed to light in order to germinate. And if you cover them up, they're so small, they're never going to germinate. So that's why you have a really good seed starting mix. We got this on Amazon. So the next thing you notice, so I filled all this up, and then for the last 2 days, I've had this sitting on a heating pad to get the soil warm. Because tobacco won't germinate unless it's between like 78, the soil temperature is between like 75, 78, and like 85. So the soil has to be warm. So I figured I'd give it a good shot at germinating by doing that. And then the next thing I did over these last 2 days is I've just moisten the soil, because the first time that you put water into soil like this, it's sort of like hydrophobic. The water sheds and the water runs right off of it. And you don't want that, because if you were to put these tiny little seeds on there and then water it in with a mister, the water could roll off. It could take the seeds with it, and all that. And by the way, let me show you what I'm talking about in terms of water. So Mrs. Sweet Maple Ridge bought this, just a little spray, and this is what you're going to have to use in order to water these things. It cannot be, you just can't dump like water on it. So, okay. So anyway, you guys get the drift there. So we're going to take our seeds. We are going to use tweezers. We're going to put 2 seeds in each one. The germination, percentage is like 80%. So you could probably get away with just putting 1 in there, but we're just going to make sure. So now what I'm going to do is take these seeds and I'm going to pour them onto an index card. All right. All right, so I'm going to take these seeds and pour them onto an index card. And I am going to take one of them and put 1 in each cell here. I'm going to do that very carefully with my tweezer. And I'm not going to cover it. All right, so there's 1. I'm not covering the seeds. See what I'm doing here? Just going along, and I'm putting it right on the top of the soil. Sometimes 2 might fall in there. That's all right. Yep, 2 just went in there. That's all right. Okay. See, and really, this index card is great because all you got to do is just sort of get these seeds going here. So just put the seeds on top of the soil. Don't put them in. All right, and your soil should already be wet, because remember, we watered it first, and we have been. All right, we're going to finish up here. All right, guys, so just fast forward here, cut just a couple days, you can see that the tobacco seeds are germinating. You can see how small they are. I mean, just really, really, really small. So they're going to take a while to grow at this stage. They're going to be in this very tiny seedling stage for quite a while, and you're really going to wonder what in the heck is going on. Are these things ever going to grow? But look how small they are, and they're going to take a while to get to a point where they're starting to look like tobacco. But just give them time. They'll come around. Don't waterlog them too much. Just make sure they have enough water and they have lots of sunlight. Now, moving forward to 9 days after planting, after seed sowing rather, you can see that the seedlings are getting a little bit bigger, and you can see one of those has 4 leaves on it. There you go. You have a seedling there that's starting to grow a couple more leaves. So again, just give it more time. By the way, if you guys know what to do to get rid of this algae that's forming on top of here, I think I know what the answer is. Probably less water. But anyway, I just wanted to show you how small these things are. And don't get discouraged if it takes them a little while to grow. Once you have your seedlings started, it is a breeze. So you have to use seed sowing mix. It cannot be potting mix. It has to be seed sowing mix. You can get it at Menards and you can get it at Lowe's. You can get it on Amazon, but it has to be that. Do not be tempted to get potting mix, garden soil, or potting soil, or anything like that, because I promise you the seeds will not germinate. You can only use soil starting mix. Trust me, I know from experience. Next, these are the 3 mandatory items you need. First, you need a seed starter tray. Don't get the one that is made out of peat moss where the trays are biodegradable, whatever. No, these need to be plastic. You also need a spray bottle that has a fine mist setting. And finally, some grow lights. And you can see the ones that I got off of Amazon. They work just fine and they were under $50. Do not think that you're going to get these seeds to germinate just from sun shining through a window. That's not going to be enough. It's not going to work. All right, one last mandatory item that you need is a heat mat. Now, optimal germination for tobacco seeds occurs pretty much right around 78 Fahrenheit to 86 Fahrenheit. That's 25 to 30 Celsius. Now, put your soil in each of the cells. Now lay 2 seeds on top of the seed starting mix. Do not bury them because they will not grow then. Then mist them with your spray bottle with pure water. Make sure your water doesn't have chlorine in it. Do this 2 times per day. Also, make sure that your grow lights are no more than an inch or 2 off of the soil because, again, these seeds need a lot of help in germinating. If you do all of this correctly, you're looking at 7 to 14 days before you have actual tobacco plants. Once they start growing, this is what they're going to look like. And you're going to be really, really happy. You're going to have your own tobacco, and it's going to be super easy, and we're going to be on to the next step. Look how great these look. Once they start getting about this big, every now and again, about once per week, I will start giving a very, very, very light solution of Miracle-Gro with a watering. And I only do this once per week, and you want to make sure that it's very, very diluted because they can't handle a strong solution of that. Keep the heat mat on and keep the lights no more than 1 to 2 inches off of the plants. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We really appreciate it. Once your seedlings get to be about this big, they're going to be outgrowing the container. So that means it's going to be time to transplant. Here's a Virginia Gold tobacco plant we just transplanted. You're ready to transplant when daytime temperatures are at least 65 degrees, soil temperature is at least 65 degrees, and the nighttime temperatures are no colder than 50 degrees. Once you've dug your hole, add 1 teaspoon of organic fertilizer and 1 teaspoon of bone meal into the hole. Then cover with dirt. Then on the top of the soil, add another teaspoon of organic fertilizer and another teaspoon of the bone meal. Then water this in with half-strength Miracle-Gro and half-strength Alaska fish fertilizer. This helps to minimize transplant shock. Also, be sure that the danger of frost has passed. Frost will kill your tobacco plants. So these tobacco plants need full sun. There are no exceptions to that. I'm not aware of any tobacco plant that doesn't require full sun. These tobacco plants need sun beating down on them for a good part of the day. And because of that, we need a lot of water. Make sure you water them 2 times per day. And we use straw, as shown in the picture, to maintain soil temperature. If you don't water them, they're going to droop, just like a tomato plant will. Don't let it get to this point because you're only stressing them out. Not a lot of things are going to kill these tobacco plants, but slugs will, so I want to mention that really fast. Last year was a really bad year for slugs, and we've heard from other people that they were having slugs invade their garden also. So you can see the white powder that we sprinkled around the tobacco plants, and that's diatomaceous earth. We sprinkled around around each plant in hopes that it would kill the slugs, and diatomaceous earth is typically used for that, but we didn't have much success. You can see the plant where there's little holes in the leaves. That's from slug damage. the slugs, they crawl up the stem and they will eat the plants. At least they have with us. So we Googled and found that Sluggo was a possible cure for this problem. So we bought some Sluggo granules off of Amazon and we sprinkled them on the ground right below the tobacco plants, and that seemed to take care of the problem. Your tobacco plant should start to be looking like this. So what you want to do in order to make sure that they get the nutrients that they need is to sprinkle on the soil right by the stem 1 tablespoon of bone meal and 1 tablespoon of organic fertilizer. And then sort of massage that into the soil. Then you want to water that in with full strength Miracle Grow and full strength Alaska fish fertilizer. I mix that up in a watering can and then water in the bone meal and the organic fertilizer. So if you follow these instructions, well, your plants are going to start looking like that. They'll start to grow stalks and flowers, where you're going to have a stem start coming up with a flower pod start to form. Now, you're going to want to break that off. Let me show you that. So you need to break off the stalk that produces the flower. The reason why we do this is because we want it producing tobacco leaves, and we want it putting all of its effort into making big tobacco leaves, as shown here. We don't want it putting in effort to make flowers or seed pods. So you have to break that stalk off, and you can see what it looks like once you've broken it off. Now, you need to find your best tobacco plants, the best specimens that you have, and allow one of them to flower, because that's where you're going to get the seeds for next year. If you allow one of your plants to flower, and I would suggest picking the best one, you never have to buy seeds again. Next, if you're doing this right, your tobacco plants will continue to try to grow stalks with flowers on the end of it continuously. So you are going to have to watch these plants and break off any sign of any stalks where they're trying to grow flowers or seed pods. It's harvest time, everybody, but you don't want to harvest too quickly. You want to make sure that they are ready to be cured in your shed or your garage or whatever. So this is what we call the crocodile markings, but that is not what you want. You want to let it go a little bit longer than what we have here. So what we have in the next slide is what you want it to look like when it's time to harvest. All right, so this is what we have so far. I'm just picking the stuff that looks like crocodile. It's supposed to be unseasonably hot the next couple days, and so I figured, why don't we use that heat to our advantage and all that. So get some really nice, the camera's really making this look green, but this really is gold, nice golden color. So a couple things are eating on it, but that's another reason why I sort of want to get it picked. So we're going to keep on getting it. All right, so another reason I want to just go ahead and pick this is because it's looking a little bit rough, y'all. This is Canadian bold, this, and then like the next like 5 plants. So this stuff is still flowering. It's definitely taken longer to, we're gonna pick those actually. I'm just cutting these. It's taken a lot longer for the Canadian bold to start to yellow. The stuff that was in the garden that we just picked, all that right there, is Virginia gold. And that stuff obviously is looking good. So any of this crocodile stuff, we're just going to go ahead and pick it. We're going to wash it. And then we're going to hang it over there in our shed. All right, so this is the Virginia bold that I planted. Now you can see this stuff has really gotten big. I'll show you this leaf. You know, here's my shoe. So it gives you an idea of just how big these leaves can get. But you can see they're starting to get that rust on there. I'm not really sure if they're 100% ready yet. They're starting to turn yellow. They have that crocodile look to them, but I don't want them to get any more disease than what they already have, so I'm probably going to pick the ones with the rust on them. On the other hand, this Virginia Gold, these are all full of seeds. You can just hear them rattling in there. I'll try to pick that. All right, so there you go. See, each and every one of those little brown things is a seed. So look how many, each brown thing, pod, I guess, holds, I don't know, like thousands of seeds probably. But all right, so now what I'm gonna do is, now that we have all this, I'm gonna take this back to the house. I'm gonna spray it off, and then I have a bunch of metal wire, and we're gonna hang it. Stick around. All right, so I have it all laid out here. Some definitely more gold than others, but that's all right because we're just learning. Some of this looks, I think, really good. But we're just gonna wash it off real quick. We're in a drought right now, as you can see the grass. So we're gonna not use too much water for this. All right, everyone, so we're here at the hanging location. You can see we do already have some hanging here. This is just stuff that I've sort of had no choice but to pick, but it smells incredible. I mean, it smells so good. Miss Sweet Maple Ridge says it just smells like leaves, but I think different. But anyway, we're gonna fashion something up here because we got a lot to hang, and so I have some wire like this, and so that's what we're gonna do. All right, day 2 of the tobacco. We hung this yesterday, right? No, we hung this Monday. We hung this Monday. Today's Wednesday. So it's starting to look good. I don't think that this is probably going to be enough distance between, but I don't know. Maybe it will be. It's definitely going to shrink. You can see I had all this hanging, and this really shrunk. It's good. It's dry, but it's the perfect weather to dry this, because this stuff is just like leather. It's dry, but it's so humid out. I mean, it is like 110% humidity out here. But, okay, so we got that. This stuff is all looking really, really good. And then we got this.
So anyways, that's it. That's the video. If you want to be an OG Mapler and you want to continue learning how to rely less and create more from high atop the Allegheny Plateau, please like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time, out on the ridge.